Thinking is something you do with your lips closed.
Nah.
That's right. It's that final show of the year, folks. Superfan show number 8, closing it out. He's back. The guru of the Squatchers Lounge. That's right. Bigfoot enthusiast and Bigfoot Squatchers Lounge podcast man of the year. That's right. Our very own Dean Cooper is going to be joining us tonight for the Bigfoot bury their bodies. Quite a few stories out there say that when they slay the monster, when they go back to collect it, it's gone. Where did it go? Well, we're going to have that discussion and a little bit more tonight, right here on the season finale of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. Wow! I need to put a little bit of applause in there to candle out that, but that's right. That's me. I'm the Reverend Jeff Kelly, Bigfoot porn director, and this is the season finale of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. Now, some people seem to be a little mixed up. The channel isn't going anywhere, people. Just Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly is transforming into something else. So Bigfoot Campfire Stories are going to be here. The Squatchers Lounge podcast is going nowhere. That's right. Rock solid, at least realistic guy in Bigfoot is going to be here for a long, long time. It's season 5. The season of Encounters. I never did get that down right. Season 5. The season of Encounters is about to start. Well, with me tonight, as I said, is the Santa Claus of the Squatchers Lounge, the guru, the man that says there's a very fat man in a silly red suit stuck in the smoke hole of our TV. That's right, Mr. Guru Dean Cooper himself. Thank you, sir, for joining us tonight to finish up the year. How you doing, sir?
Not too badly. Not too badly.
Not too badly. A clean, poop-free shirt for the evening. We appreciate that. Yep. You know, those of us who have the FIDs know that, well, damn it, they're going to poop on you whether you like it or not. So you wear double shirts.
Yeah, and they were upset at going to bed an hour early, too.
Yeah, a whole hour. Boy, that's just miserable. My poor parrot, he goes down. I used to let him up until he started screaming, and, well, that was the end of that. Okay, let's get it on tonight, boy. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. We're going to get into a little bit of the newsy, and some stuff just popped up today that really was quite interesting. So let's take a look at it here. A herd of 41 elk die in East Oregon after falling through the ice. Son of a bitch. Richland, Oregon, according to the AP Wire, officials say an elk herd has died after the animals fell through the ice at a reservoir in East Oregon. The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife said in a Facebook post that 41 elk died on Tuesday on the Powder River arm of the Brownlee Reservation. Someone who lives near the reservoir called to report the incident. Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife biologist Brian Ratliff told the newspaper the elk were trying to cross the river from the north side when the ice broke in 4 places. Officials drove to the area to see if it was possible to save any of the elk or salvage the meat, but Ratliff said neither option was possible. The reservoir is about 40 miles east of Baker City. Wow, dude, can you imagine coming across 40 elk, like, just frozen in the river? Because that's probably how he found them. You know, they were probably already dead. He didn't see them fall into the lake.
Yeah.
He just found like 41 frozen ass freaking elk in the river. Go, y'all might want to come up here and take a look at this. We got a little situation.
I wonder if it was just like antlers sticking up out of the ice by that time.
We had that crazy moose picture of the frozen moose on the show that we had with Cameron Young a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
All right, moving right along here to ScienceVibe.com. A violent avalanche revealed complex caverns and a frozen caveman in the Himalaya. A group of climbers on an expedition in the Himalaya mountains were shocked when they stumbled upon a group of caverns that seemed to have recently surfaced after a series of dramatic avalanches. The team of Norwegian and Swedish mountaineers discovered the remains of a humanoid of the Paleolithic era. That's right. So we're not quite human then, I don't believe.
Oh, Paleolithic, that was at the end of the Ice Age. End of the last glaciation.
Okay, so we were human at that point. So that's us. The discovery marks the oldest sign of human life. I've had to just read on a little bit. I figured it out. In the region, the primary analysis of the skeleton reveals that the bones belong to an adult male.
My mistake. I remembered wrong. No, we're talking before
1.44 to 2.33 million years ago.
Yeah, okay, so we're talking, that's middle of the
Before,
Paleolithic, yeah.
The remains are remarkably well preserved. Further test and analysis are being conducted to determine the exact nature of the remains. Froze to death. That'll be the cause of death. I'd probably mark that one in the books. I don't know what I would do, Dean, if I was out just like, we look through cave systems and outcroppings and rock croppings all the time in the Sierras, and it drops, dozens of feet of snow events happen on top of these areas all the time. It's only going to be a matter of time before some rock face breaks apart and some new cave system pops out on us that, what would I do if I found, 2.33 million year old remains in there? Who do I call? Do I call Fish and Game? Do they even care?
Oh, yeah, I'd call Fish and Game first. I'm trying to think of who else would.
Well, I guess you call the Forest Department here, but
or you'd call the state paleontologists.
Oh yeah, I have their number in my phone Rolodex. It's right there under paleontologists in my S7,
so
right?
You got the local forestry service in your phone too.
Yeah, actually I do. I have the local ranger station there closest to us in there for emergencies.
Yeah. Well, that one makes sense. Yeah, but
yeah, exactly. But I don't exactly have the state paleont. Yeah, let me call a coroner real quick. I think it's right underneath Bob's number.
This is why God gave us Google.
Do we steal the head? I mean, do we take the head with us for proof? I mean, if it was a Bigfoot, I would definitely be taking like the heads and the hands. Like if it's already rotted up and it's dying off, I'm taking the heads and the hands with me.
Yeah, but if you were,
because that was in the hands.
Yeah, but these buggers are still frozen, so
you have to be taking rock with them. They got to be rock at this point, wouldn't you think?
Oh no, you don't. No, it doesn't.
Oh, that's right, because they're frozen, so it would still be all gooey and fleshy and it would stink.
Yeah,
all right, let's get out of this.
Yeah, I like it though. I like that one.
Paleontologyworld.com. That's right. 12 weird prehistoric creatures that will make you glad that we're alive today.
Oh no, it's a Eurypterid.
yeah, it's a Triceratops.
All
mostly neck. Aryan crocodile, my ass. Well, you're getting ripped apart by the raptors. Let's see here. The guy had legs with digits instead of fins. Yeah. That's how we became. We came. See, I like the feathers. We're starting to finally get into some feathers on the raptors, especially. But the dinosaurs are starting to get some proto feathers. I'm kind of down with this because I was never down with the lizard look. I was never down with the scaly scale. But things just don't look like that. Anyhow. There's just a bunch of.
When I was growing up, all of them were like brown or gray.
Yeah, and they drug their tails around. I mean, nothing drags its tail
around. Yeah,
nothing drags its tail around. A whale with legs. Now that would be kind of interesting.
Except that's not really legs at the back there. They just didn't lose the rear fins yet. Yeah,
it's like a double fin back there, but
they just didn't lose
like creatures. Dude, that would have some of these super fauna that were alive on the continent before the days of humans were just really neat things. The saber-toothed cats were always one of my favorite when I was a kid, but the more as I aged, the more they learn about what their colors look like and what their pelts would have looked like. It's a whole lot more exciting than the boring just tan cat with big teeth that we used to get.
Yeah.
Fingers, the fingered dinosaur. All right, that's enough of this crap. Moving right along. Fishermen find a 16-foot snake in a frozen river. Now, Cleveland, Ohio, 2 fishermen find something unexpected when they went fishing in the. Is that the Chagrin River? Because that sure looks what it looks like. I get yelled at a lot for not.
Yeah, Chagrin.
That's what I thought. It's Chagrin River. Sam Lincoln posted the photos on Instagram with the caption, "When you're trying to swing up in some holiday steel and you don't catch any fish, but you catch a 16-foot constrictor instead." I couldn't imagine. I mean, they get loose. We know they get loose. People turn them loose. When they get to be that big, you're feeding that thing like chickens, like 5 rats a day. I mean, you're feeding that thing ridiculous things, and people just take them out in the woods and let them go. Well, if you do that in a cold winter type of place, they usually don't survive.
Yeah, but the biologist, when you watch the video, he called it a boa constrictor, and it's not. It's a Burmese python.
It's definitely a Burmese python,
Yes.
but he's a biologist from Ohio. How many constrictors does he really deal with?
Apparently, any number of frozen ones.
All right. Speaking of survival of Africa's great apes requires the palm industry's support. Say what? Yes, people. What's happening is the larger apes in Africa, their lands are being cut down for people to grow palms so that they can get palm oil, and they sell the palm oil to companies that are using it as cheap oil, cheap fat. And it's getting so bad that the orangutans are literally getting hit with 70 to 150 pellets in a month's time, trying to drive them away from these these palm farms. And it's gotten so bad that nearly they're all going to be extinct, and it's going to be our fault because we've just cut down every bit of habitat they have. Apparently, the plight of the orangutan in the South Asian forests it inhabits has kept the palm oil industry in the defense of it for decades, as the industry now expands at breakneck pace into now Africa. Yeah, you were wondering what I was talking about with orangutans in Africa. Well, I'm not. I'm talking about now it's expanding into where the great apes live, where the gorillas are living. Conservation is feared. Slaughter of the gorillas, the chimpanzees, and the bonobos will become its new symbol unless significant changes are made. So look at your labels out there, and if it says palm oil on it, pick up a different one that doesn't have palm oil in its ingredients. That will start to say a lot.
And that is palm nut oil, not coconut oil.
Palm oil is usually what it says in the ingredient list. Coconut oil is fine. Coconut oil is it's responsibly harvested. That's fine. Palm oil, not so much. Instead of putting up cocoa farms and selling the cocaine to everybody, they're putting palm oil fields. But
well, on a more personal note for me though, African gray parrots, of which I have 2 as pets, palm nuts are about 90% of their diet in the wild. So they might be doing better.
Well, yeah, they might be expansion. Exactly.
Yeah.
Detroit Free Press. We always like to see when the Free Press gets a hold of it. The Detroit Free Press talk about Sasquatch hunting groups say the UP woods are a hot spot for sightings. Sinai National Wildlife Refuge. Maybe Bigfoot did this. Maybe he didn't. Rich Meyer stood on the Upper Peninsula Forest, calling his friends over to a spot on a trail. He'd found something. A tall, thin sapling had been bent down into an arch over the path, high above everyone's heads. Its tip was wedged in the underbrush, holding it down. This, Mayer said, must be a sign. He explained, often leaves signals to another using sticks or trees. Arches are common. Okay, sure. Maybe it can be a marker of some kind, almost like a roadmap, the 39-year-old said. Now, this is a lot of speculation on his part. We've never really found a successful arch that we couldn't really explain away with snow load, wind event, just whatever. There's reason that these things don't stand straight back up after it was wedged in the underbrush. Imagine that. So it had so much snow that it was laying over because it was a sapling, and then it didn't spring back to life when the snow melted away. And that's high up in the trees, so of course no human can do that. So what else would it have to be? It would have to be a damn Sasquatch, right?
Yeah. I got no comment on that one. It's like, unless the Squatch carved its initials in it, you can't tell who was there.
Exactly. And finally, we're going to wrap this up tonight. And I want to remind people before I even start on this, I didn't write this article. I didn't have anything to do with this article. I'm not quoted in this article. I'm not responsible as being a source for this article. But I have to say one thing is buyer beware. Okay. Bigfoot Field Guide. That's right. The BigfootFieldGuide.blogspot.com. Before I even go any further than that, let me remind you, this comes from the people of Daisies in the Box. So Pop might be calling the kettle black here, but Texas hoax and possibly a scam. Now, I know there may be many questions why he's about to write. I'm not even going to read the whole thing to you. Basically, what it comes down to is the same MIB government cover up of the Texas tent with Bob Garrett that everybody tried to drag me into, dead bodies in trees and bodies with their heads decapitated, gun shells everywhere. There was a shootout and they were trying to get these, and the government took down my YouTube channel and they closed my Facebook account and harassed my wife. Well, some of those things may have happened. Some of those things may not have happened. But apparently what did happen was through all of that fame, they started doing Bigfoot expeditions under the Big Thicket Watch Guide Service, LLC. Started January 16th of 2016. Okay, that's those people all involved in that. Now, apparently, they've taken people's money. There's no refund. There's no expedition. There's a whole bunch of crap going on here. I came across it naturally like everybody else. I'm just going to take this opportunity to say, I just trying to.
What kind of person to say I told us so? You know what? I told us so. I fucking told us so.
Just, I don't pick on people. I just bring up their actions so that everybody out there is aware of them. So go on out, check out the article for yourself. Read what it actually says. It's got text messages. It's got videos. The Bigfoot Field Guide.blogspot.com. Texas-Ghost Scam. You can search for it right on the main page. I'm sure there's a link to it, and you can read all about it there. I'm just saying, you're better off taking that money and going on a Bigfoot expedition of your own, because you're going to have just as good a chance of seeing a Bigfoot on your own expedition as you are with these clowns. And with that, that's the news.
Yeah. Cool. A good job with that one. I could not comment on that last one. I was flabbergasted that anybody would even give those guys money.
Yeah, that's the thing with it. You know, there was this whole big thing with that group that they had found Bigfoot nesting spots and Bigfoot caves and Bigfoot this and Bigfoot that. And then the government came and got all involved with it. And next thing you know, the wintertime came and then springtime came and they were off doing other expeditions. They weren't going to check out the Bigfoot nests or the Bigfoot caves or all this other Bigfoot stuff that they knew right where it was. But yet they're going to charge people for that same expedition upon stuff that they never went back to investigate on themselves. Like you said, it's so frustrating that people that, and we're not talking about small amounts of money here. We're talking about enough to buy a used car.
Yeah,
I could buy a used car with the kind of money that they were talking about that they spent on this, and that was times 2. So whatever's happening down there, God bless them. I hope nothing, hope the aliens didn't come and take them. But apparently, watch who you're giving money to Bigfoot expeditions on, because you get what you pay for. Let's just put it that way. Dean, it's gonna be one of them weeks, because we don't have unfortunately, Dean here had a catastrophic failure with some hardware, and he lost his Quasi for this week. And I didn't hear from the life and times of JCM, so we don't have us a camping tips for stupids either. But what we do have are shout outs to the people in the lounge live chat room. That's what we do have.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So let's take a look and see who is hiding out there tonight. Cause I'm trying to pop my chat out because somehow mine got closed. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So it's the last year. Why should the last show of the year be any more professional than the first show of the year? I don't know. It probably.
And oddly enough, I actually got the pop out, and I got it right here.
Yeah, I know you do, and mine will be loaded here.
First time I got it at work, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Finally. Look at that. Well, he doesn't smell like Irish Spring, and he never bought me anything, but still I slap my chest and sing of my drunken Irish dad. That's right. Ryan McGinty's in the chat room with us tonight. How you doing there, pal? James the Grower, he's flashing around hey, man, put that thing away. It's all good and well to have one of those things, but when you take it out and start waving it at people, they might call the cops. Starshine, how you doing? She's always hanging out with us. Frank Smith, how you doing, man? Danny boy. Although you spell it all messed up. Spell it like anyhow. Lance Windsor, how you doing? Back at you there, Chief. Keith Ross, he's got an angel over his head tonight. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, you're lazing it out for the rest of the year. Well, you got 3 days there, Chief. Life and Times of JCM say he just got lazy. Kush Tiger. I bet you he's got a little dog like a Chihuahua. I don't know why. It just seems like he would have a dog like a Chihuahua. Mr. Cameron Young, how you doing, sir? Glad you could join us with us. I don't want to say I told you so, but I fucking told you so. That's right. Every week I get that all over the microphone. How you doing, pal? Glad you're with us as well. Savage Dash 110. Was there like, was 109 taken or? I don't know. Let's see who else is out there. There were some people out there earlier, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back that far because it doesn't let me all the time. It sure doesn't. So Cameron Young is where I'm at there. If you guys didn't say hi to me, I don't know you're here, and I can't say hi back. That's right. Thanks, guys, for watching
this.
That's
kind of weird because I can scroll all the way back to the beginning. And did you say hi to
Frank Smith?
Frank Smith? Yeah.
I did say hi to Frank Smith.
Well, we got here.
Hey, Frank Smith got engaged or something, or he's been posting pictures with some hot chick on Facebook.
Yeah, he has there. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Tell her I said, hey, if you don't work out, you can come over here and talk to me. Just kidding you, man. Yeah, I think that was the last time. I know Collier Wilmus was in there earlier. He's probably still hanging out and just not running the zip. Barry Bishop has finally checked in to make sure that he didn't get left out. I think that's it.
That looks like it to me too. Yep.
Mr. Dean Cooper is in here with me tonight, people, so I don't have to say hi to him. I already did. Okay, back to the subject at hand. Mr. Cooper, now you said to me, hey, we ought to do us a show about do Bigfoot bury their bodies? And I went, that's pretty damn good creation. Because I got a few Bigfoot campfire stories out there where they talk about that. So let's kick it over to Dean here and see what he's able to dig up for us on why would a Sasquatch even bury its body?
Well, the only this popped up I got to pay attention to what I'm doing here while I'm trying to look at two things at once. I don't have the advantage of the Reverend by having two different screens to pop between there. I only got the one. Okay, well, this actually came up while I was looking for the Men in Black stuff last week, and I found this gentleman, Ray Crow, who died just relatively recently. He's about the only one who collected a whole lot of stories about people seeing Sasquatches buried. A lot of them have no dates on them, but you've got, well, I'll just start reading some of them. Date unknown, modern era, Pacific Northwest. Man witnessed 3 Bigfoots digging a hole with their hands to bury a 4th Bigfoot. Later, they rolled rocks on the grave. Roger Patterson reported that. I don't think it was Roger that saw it, though. Another one, date unknown, but modern times, Northern California. Witness saw 4 Bigfoots carrying bones. He doesn't know if they were Bigfoot bones or not, so I don't think that one counts. 1962 to 67, Northern Washington State. Man witnesses 3 Bigfoots burying a 4th one, reported by Peter Byrne. Before 1975, location unknown, probably Pacific Northwest. 3 Bigfoots witnessed digging a hole with their hands, burying a 4th one. Well, that's 2 of those, or my eyes are crossed.
Your eyes are crossed.
My eyes are crossed. Okay.
Location unknown, probably Pacific Northwest. 3 Bigfoots were witnessed digging a hole with their hands to bury a 4th Bigfoot. It said that like 4 times. Reported by a teacher saw 2 Bigfoots, either a male and a female, or 2 females. Well, yeah. Which was it? I don't know. There were 2 young auburn-colored Bigfoots with them. They were in a riverbed burying another Bigfoot under a pile of stones.
He stated that the Bigfoots were acting sad. which I'd like to comment on a little bit later, just the idea that they'd be acting sad. Flooding had washed the stones away when somebody went to investigate it about a year later. Go down a bit.
Reports of Sasquatch carrying away their dead. A problem with
No,
Sasquatch
no,
remains.
but what's this one here? 2010, a man witnessed a possible burial ritual of an infant in a hollow tree stump decorated with 4 gray squirrel tails suspended from the top of the edge of the stump. 4 Sasquatches were swaying from side to side while making grunting noises. Appears they noticed the witness and dispersed. Witness came back the next day. All he found on the stump was little dark hair, blood, and a large piece of old deer hide. Now
Yeah, what the hell is that about?
well, maybe they put it in there to the deer hide into cushion the dead baby.
Yeah, but they came back and the baby's gone.
Well, yeah.
So it's just a ritual of some sort to just sticking the dead baby in a stump. They killed 4 squirrels and a deer for some kind of a weird ritual to stick the baby in a stump and decorate it with 4 squirrels. And I don't know. That's just wow. I'd like to know where that report came from.
Yeah, but there's no attribution of any kind or where it was. Even better. What else we got
April
here?
6th, 2014, there was a video of a U.S. park ranger describing a Bigfoot burial that he witnessed, but it seems that all the sites where the video was posted is now labeled private and no longer available. The caption with the video read as follows: the report comes from the High Sierra in California. A forest ranger witnesses a Bigfoot burial after a camp was ransacked by a clan of Bigfoots. Maybe the park services didn't like him being on video, and that's why it's no longer available. This also goes into the realm of government cover-up.
Well, at least you didn't say Men in Black.
Here come the man in black.
Well,
I want you to remember. Well, one of the things that people look at, they ask me, well, why would Bigfoot bury their dead? The gorillas don't bury their dead. Orangutan don't bury their dead. Chimpanzees don't bury their dead. That's true. However, one of my theories, of course, being the Sasquatch DNA is going to be even closer to human than what chimpanzee is. And humans as a lineage all the way back before we were even Erectus, before we were Heidelbergensis, before we were any of that, clear back in the day of Homo naledi, which is long pre-human, they were burying their dead. That's how we found them. We found them in a cave where they would take their dead in and throw them down over this hole. So even way back when we were just little tiny monkey people, we were still dragging our bodies away and putting them somewhere that the animals wouldn't come and eat them. Was that because was it a ritual to protect the soul? I don't know.
Well,
but
we don't know that the story you came up with about the Homo habilis up in the Himalayas, we don't know that they weren't put there after they died.
that is very true, other than the fact that, well, it doesn't look like, well, for the picture, it didn't look like it looked like it had died in the ice because its eyeballs was open and there wasn't any decay yet. But,
Yeah, but if you don't, but they could have parked them up there.
that would be weird and creepy. And hey, let's take Billy 1,000 miles up into the ice. That's a good idea. That way we can drag him down next spring and pose them for pictures. Rock paintings.
Well, maybe they'd already known that stuff will freeze and be kind of preserved. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Whenever you find anything frozen dead in the ice, it's somewhat preserved.
Yeah, last time we went camping in April, I just left my 6-pack of Diet Coke in the creek because it was colder than the ice was.
Yeah, it could be.
It
Slightly,
was
not a lot colder, but a little.
No, it
bit,
was like 31 degrees in the creek, but it was running. There was one of the Bigfoot campfire stories where the sheep farmers, they kept losing their sheep. And of course, sheep farmers don't like to lose their sheep. So sent the boys up to find out what was messing with the sheep. Sure enough, they shot themselves a Sam Squanch after they sat out there, and finally they came across it and they killed it. And they didn't know what to do with it. Now we're talking before this wasn't modern times. I want to say this was probably back in the 40s. Well, they went ahead, dug themselves a hole, buried that thing. They didn't want to get in trouble for it. So they didn't know what kind of animal it was. They just made it go away. It was killing their sheep. Well, when Paul found out that it was a Sasquatch that they had shot, he took him back up there on the hill to show him where they buried it. The damn thing was dug up and carried away. And there were big old footprints, are all around, and big handprints where they had dug the thing out of the ground and carried it away. So there was no doubt that it wasn't people that came and dug this thing out of the ground, that it was some kind of creature that came and claimed its own dead. And, that's kind of creepy because they would literally have to be watching you while you buried the thing. That's always my worry. It's not the Bigfoot that you do see. It's probably the 3 or 5 that you don't.
Well, if
they're right there with them.
If the descriptions given by Ray Crow, the stories collected are correct, well, they do seem to travel in small family groups or small tribal groups. So yeah, they're going to be sitting there watching when somebody kills one of them.
That's what I mean. It's like, I've been on some of these outings where that is the goal for that weekend, is to bait a Bigfoot in and kill it. And like I said, it's not necessarily that one that you bait out into the open and shoot at, but it might be that 3 or 5 others that are just like you don't see at the moment that could really be the danger of what's out there.
I would say you don't want to be shooting one of them where you can't get that hand cut off or whatever and boogie on out of there as fast as you can.
Because that would be the thing. I mean, I think if you took down a gorilla, I really think because you watch these nut jobs that take the public out on these into the mountains to find these gorillas on these expeditions. You couldn't pay me enough in the condition I'm in to go into the mountains and mess and fuck with these mountain gorillas, because that's just damn dumb. That's just waiting somebody to get killed. But I think if you went out there and just surprise them effer, pulled up a shotgun and blew the silverback away, I don't think any of you would make it very far.
Well,
I don't think there'd be.
Yeah, I don't know about that one though, because the hands of silverbacks male gorillas, I know, are supposed to have some value in certain sorts of black magic rituals that they do in some areas, and they get.
Yeah, but they snare those. They're not going out there and hammering out a group of those. They're putting up traps to pull one up. That's the thing, is they're not going into the group of them gorillas to get that to get that gorilla. They're trapping that gorilla and then they're killing it. I mean, I just don't think I would, especially if I see if I see a group of Sasquatch, Bigfootses, I don't know, mooses, big feetses, in a meadow.
Officially, it's Sasquatches.
Sasquatches. Well, Bigfoots doesn't sound right. It would just be Bigfoot, like a moose. It's not meese. It's a group of moose. It's a group of Bigfoot. I don't know. I am not a salutatorian. Yeah, that wasn't me. I was not the salutatorian of my school.
The valedictorian is the higher one. I was a salutatorian.
I wasn't that guy either. Trust me. But that becomes the question. We heard at the beginning of this portion 3 Bigfoot digging a grave for a 4th. How many times? At least 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So
presumably different stories from slightly different places, and not a repeat of the same one.
That becomes the real question. We can't ask Ray anymore. We can ask David, but David's not known to be truthful, so can't exactly ask that guy for much.
Not unless we get out our Ouija boards and go all woo on it.
I'm not playing with the woo board. I've seen some crazy stuff happen with that Ouija board. I ain't interested in playing with those.
I had an experience with that too. That maybe I'll write up sometime.
Ouija boards ain't nothing to really snoot around with, because anyhow. All right. So, what would it take? They would have to be a random burial, because some of the pictures I was looking at if you go and Google Bigfoot burial grounds, God, you'll get some really crazy pictures that come up. Some of them are Native American pinwheels.
Yeah.
They're claiming our Bigfoot burial grounds. It's like, no, we know what those are. Those are definitely not big. Well, they're out in the middle of the woods and they're hundreds of years old. Yeah, it's been a long time since Indians owned this land. So yeah, that's where you can find that kind of stuff that hasn't been paved over with Main Street. There used to be one of those right in downtown Bismarck. But not anymore. I mean, there used to be a lot of Sundance circles between the Sioux Nation and Bismarck, but not anymore. Anyhow, let's not get off on that tangent because I'll start crying about boo-hoo.
Yeah, and I'll get creeped out about the whole Sundance thing.
Hey, that's not the naked one. It's the moon dance that's naked. Anyhow.
No, I meant the one where you get the hooks.
No, that's not started. Yeah, we're not talking about blood dances now. I ain't playing with that. No. There's a funny fat man in a silly red suit stuck in the smoke hole of our chimney.
Is that like a Sundance?
It could be. It could be a blood dance too. It depends on how many times you've heard it.
Depending on how it gets stuck. Yeah, really.
I mean, when.
So I had a little bit of one thought, really, not thoughts, but a lot of animals have been demonstrated to actually grieve over dead relatives, dead friends. I found a list of them.
Elephants are one that are known to grieve. They even grieve years later as they pass the place of a loved one's death.
Okay, here's just a short list that have been demonstrated to do that. Whales, ducks, horses, dolphins, parrots, elephants, great apes, and even rabbits are known to grieve over the loss of a companion. And some of them aren't just grieving over the loss of a like a rabbit grieving over another rabbit. The rabbit grieving over the loss of a cat it always played with.
Right.
Things like that.
I know a rabbit breeder, and she had one of her babies out of its nest, and she was outside with it, and it was just screaming to high heaven death, screaming like something was killing it. She said it was screaming so loud that it brought a mother wild rabbit out of the forest to attack her feet to let that baby rabbit go. So that because she didn't know whose baby it was, but damn it, she was going to defend that baby rabbit. And of course,
I saw a mother rabbit do almost exactly the same thing when a flock of crows found the little, not really much of a hole, but a little indentation in some grass where the crows found it and were raiding it for the baby rabbits. And the mother was jumping up, and some of the crows had bloody legs from it while she was just screaming her head off.
Oh, rabbits are some tough things. The elephant thing is weird though, because they do it for like 40 years. Because they migrate the same paths back and forth. Yeah. For 40 years, some of those elephants will still go over there and put their head to the ground. There's nothing there. The bones are so long and powdered to dust and gone. It doesn't matter. That elephant still goes over there and puts its head on the ground. It almost looks like it's going to cry. And as the other troop would wander off, it doesn't want to get lost, and finally it'll tear itself away from there to go back. I don't know what that is. It can be mourning. I'm not saying that animals don't have emotion, and that's all that would be. That would be an emotion of sadness.
Well, if we want to go Batdorf on this, we all share a common biology, common endocrine systems, common hormonal systems. It's
in the mammal family, I would agree with that. In the duck family, not so much.
Oh no, it's most birds. A lot of the actual biology, the endocrinology of it is really almost identical to humans. The actual compounds involved are a little bit different, but they're basically all closely related, all the way back down to, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember now. Probably back to dinosaurs. It wouldn't surprise me if some of the dinosaurs grieved over a dead loved one, especially since birds came from them, and we know birds do that.
The Triceratops.
That possibly not. I don't know. They're kind of
They're kind of assholes.
Yeah.
Cameron Crawford Young seems to think that he has a theory that maybe Bigfoot eat their dead, depending on the situation. Not saying that they couldn't. I mean, I don't think they would cook it, because if Bigfoot used fire, we'd be able to find them on the mountains instantly.
Way easier, yeah.
Yeah, you'd be able to find them far easier. There'd be a lot more evidence for their camps or their nesting spots or whatever the case. So they'd have to eat them raw, which means you'd have to eat that big body in like 72 hours.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's going to start to get gamey.
Possibly see if a family group, tribe, whatever, killed one from a different tribe. I could possibly see that happening. Otherwise, I don't think it makes any sense.
The bones, yeah, and they wouldn't eat the bones either. I mean, the reason we don't find bear bones is because, there are animals up there that eat the bones, like squirrels. Squirrels love bones. Yeah, well, we don't have any porcupines up that high, but we have a whole lot of rodent up there, and rodent will tear up antlers, and bone, and teeth, and whatever the heck all the marrow inside that bear skeleton is like a rodent's friggin' heaven for the whole rest of the winter. He's gonna get fat on all that bone marrow, and then he's going to go hide in a hole until the freezing stops.
Well, not counting a calcium source, mineral source. Yeah.
Right. And, with their teeth, they have to gnaw on everything hard anyhow to keep them from overgrowing, to keep them from not being able to eat at all. So, it's one of those things where I honestly just think that, with the limited number that we have in each area, it's like trying to find a pine needle in a pine forest. You're just trying to find that one specific spot where these things are at this moment. And when you stand over a place like Miller's Peak in the Sierras, right there with the Fish and Wildlife Fire Outlook guy, and you look over 180 million acres that you can see, where do you start? I think that's more why we don't find the bodies. I think that's more why we don't know where these things live. There's such a vast area out there. So where do you start? Well, you start where we have encounters. You start where we have sightings. And you start where those sightings and encounters kind of converge. And then you can kind of have a general area of, oh no, we're not dealing with 180 million acres anymore. We're dealing with 180,000 acres. Instead, we're only dealing with 10%, but still, where do you start on that 180,000 acres today? Because easily they can, I can see a Sasquatch covering 25 miles a day, easy, just in walking around. Just in walking. Let's go see what's going on down by the river today. I'm thirsty. I need
25 square miles. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, he's not walking 25 miles away from where he's sleeping the night. But, in a day, crisscrossing a 5 square mile area, I'm going over to my water source. I'm going over to my food source. You're going to just 25 miles in a day. We can't cover that kind of distance in a day. We have to be lucky that he comes across our path during his path that day.
Yeah. And again, looking at Google Earth, which I do occasionally quite a bit, not just looking for BFR Sasquatch sightings, but when you actually look at it, in the United States, there's huge areas where there aren't people and there aren't towns, and there's maybe some farmers, some old farm roads going through or something, but where 20 hours out of the day, there ain't nobody there.
Yeah, I mean, you look up a place like Sierra City.
Yeah,
it's been a town there since 1865, since right after the Civil War, maybe even during the Civil War, whatever the case. But outside of that little ass city, there ain't shit around for 45 miles.
Yeah,
in any direction. You got great big highways that run through there, but there's an outpost. There's Bassett Station. There's a few lodging areas where there's, some private land that have a few cabins on it here and there, or, a group of 20 cabins or right off of one of these roads. But outside of that, the main highway that goes through that area in the wintertime is completely chained off to cars because you can't get through it. So for nearly 6 months out of the year, you don't even have any car traffic going through that area because you can't go there. So these are the types of areas that literally I honestly feel you've got to get deep enough into where we're searching to find the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Where you're searching, you might find them down at your local creek. That's great. Just get some evidence of it. Something.
Yeah.
Just something. Give us some footprints, some audio, something.
If I had kind of one last thought about the idea of Bigfoot wanting to take care of their dead that way, it'd be from everything I've read, the few people I've talked to who've seen them, I think it's fairly likely that they might even be in the genus Homo. Another offshoot, maybe not as technologically oriented as we are, but no, if we've got genus Homo dealing with burying dead a long ways back, 2 million years or more, well, of course, a Bigfoot is going to want to bury their dead or do something. Yeah, do something.
And that becomes the question of it. You know, we don't even know how they live, let alone find out what they do when they die. That's going to be, there's so much more to learn about these things that, how are we going to do that? It's going to have to be some kind of a videoed reserve, 100-foot fences, something that they can't get up over, and just kind of enclose a giant swath and let them live and see how that works out for them. I don't know how. Like I said, for me, one side of me wants to put one on the table to get it over with so my friends don't think I'm a complete moron my entire life. And the other half of me says, it really ain't going to be so good for the Bigfoot once that happens.
I don't know. I think it wouldn't be that bad for them because then they would almost certainly be endangered species.
Well, there's no way they can do that. You have to get an accurate count before you can do that. It's going to be a decade before you even have anywhere close to any kind of accurate count on how many there are, how many Bigfoots there are out there.
I think that one would happen pretty quickly though, because obviously there aren't a lot of them.
There would. Well, let's see. That's probably we've had that discussion before, but that was a couple of seasons back.
Even if there's like 50,000 on the continent, which I think is unlikely but possible. And if you actually get a DNA sample and it shows it's at least a great ape of some kind, as opposed to some woo creature, I think they're going to get protected pretty damn quickly.
Yeah, well, that becomes the question: is the number for mammals, for large mammals, to reach the endangered, on the extinction level imminent list is 2,500. If they're below 2,500 animals, then they go on the endangered species list. Above that, then they're protected species lists, and it goes down the line from that. If you listen to some people, there would have to be 10,000 of them on the west coast of America. And there's probably going to be 3 times that in unoccupied Western Canada. Because literally from north of Bellingham, Washington, almost clear to the friggin' Yukon, nobody lives there.
Yeah.
People live there, but not in great numbers, and most of the land is empty. Look it up, people. People do live there. I get that. There are spotty spots, but for the most part, nobody lives there. And Sasquatch could live unabated and unmolested for centuries. If we didn't know about them here, we probably wouldn't go looking for them there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look at that. We've managed to wrap up the very season finale of the Squatchers Lost podcast. Yeah, look at that. It's pretty cool. It's been a fun year. It really has. Unfortunately, I do have to make the announcement that Dr. David Batdorf, Esquire, is not going to be joining us for season 5. His podcast days have run. We will miss him greatly. If he decides to come back, he has always got a seat at the table. He says he will miss everyone, and thank you so much for being part of his life for all the years that you have, and he will be greatly missed here on the show. But season 5, the season of encounters, is going to be marching forward, and that's something I am still very much looking forward to. I will miss him dearly, and he's put in a lot of hard work in this show over the years. It's been as much his as it is mine. So, woo, we're going to see what the new format's going to look like in the new year. Nothing like planning 4 new shows to start out everything. Wow. Got to be the end of the year for Reverend Jeff. It ain't hard. It ain't fun, right?
I don't know. I kind of like easy stuff.
But if it's easy, it's not worthwhile usually. And with that, that'll be the last time we have for the year. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. We'll have an after hangout here. If you guys are interested in doing that, give me a ping. Thanks, everybody, for watching. So may the Squatch be with you for the final year of 2016.
And Happy New Year to you all.
That's right. We'll see you in 2017.